Hey guys, it's CWillyHD here, and welcome back to another episode of Codebreakers. This time we'll be taking a look at mods, cheats, and hacks in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. There's a good amount of people who've released mods for this amazing game that makes it that much better. Everything from alternate characters, ports from other Zelda games, speed modifiers, and more. So let's not waste any more time and get into them. Kicking off this episode is a very cool character mod from IDECA. It switches the adult form of Link into Ganondorf. You're still young Link to start off, but after entering the Temple of Time, you'll become the Great King of Evil. Right away, you'll notice that the Master Sword has even been replaced too, which is a nice touch. You're now free to play through the game as Ganondorf instead of adult Link. Another thing worth mentioning, he doesn't use a bow, instead he just shoots arrows out of his hands. When you finally reach Ganon's castle, you'll face off against Ganondorf as Ganondorf. It's an interesting plot twist on the original game. It also changes some of the animations, so it's definitely worth checking out. Sticking with the theme of the first episode, there's a Waluigi character mod for Link made by RussMars2. It's so funny to me that he's hacked into so many games but still doesn't have one of his own. It's amazing to see Waluigi take on Hyrule as both a child and adult. The model itself is pretty much perfect all the way down to his face. Even the intro screen is hilarious, seeing him to be the one to appear on screen riding Epona in this nostalgic cutscene. It doesn't change anything else about the game, which is totally okay as you can play through the entire game as a new and refreshing character. If you want another character mod from the Mario universe, RussMars2 also hacked Wario into the game. The model is from Mario Party 2, which fits Child Link pretty well. The only buggy thing I noticed is when pulling out the Ocarina, as it kinda just goes into his face. Transforming into adult Link, you'll begin to see why Wario is known for his short, wide form. Seeing a tall version of Wario with his long legs is a little interesting. Russ managed to work well with what he had, but it still looks a little off. The Ocarina still goes into his face, but having him redo all the animations just to fix that is a lot to ask. It's still playable and lets you play as the money-loving fiend, so it's all good. And I saved the best character mod for last. This one changes young Link's model to the Minecraft version of him. By using the debug ROM and entering room 122, you can also get to run around a Minecraft version of Kokiri Forest. It does get incredibly laggy at some point due to the textures, which is kinda disappointing. Luckily, the rest of the game runs at normal speed and allows you to take on enemies with your iron sword in hand. There's some other character mods which I'll leave in the description, but I wanted to personally cover some of my favorites. Switching over to cheat codes, I had to try out a moon jump one. By holding down L, Link will begin to float into the air. No matter how high you go, you won't take fall damage or anything. You can use this to access areas faster or just get out of bounds pretty much anywhere. You can still use some items in the air like bombs. After it blew up, I was able to have Link fly around like Superman. Pulling out the bow lets you shoot some arrows, but it doesn't work in first person. The hookshot can create some funny effects if you start the moon jump after you shoot. It kept trying to send Link over to the place you shot at, but you can just keep flying up until you let go. And finally, the Ocarina. You can play it while in the air, but if you're still holding down L, any song you try and play won't activate. If you play it while you're falling, you can keep flying as the sequence is going on. You can warp in mid-air if you want to. Sadly, this code doesn't work during cutscenes, or at least the ones I tried. This code changes the A button from the regular roll to the jump. Normally you can only jump in specific spots like running off of ledges, but now you can do it anywhere. I sometimes felt trapped in Zelda games as jumping wasn't really an option, even though there's not a lot of spots you would need to anyway. This code can help you reach new areas, but it's a little weird not being able to roll now. This next code is named Fast Rolling, but I feel like it doesn't do the code justice. Yeah, your rolls are definitely faster, but they're a lot crazier than that. I had to do this in Hyrule Field just to showcase this in full effect. Pressing A sends Link flying at insane speeds. You don't even have to be rolling anymore. If you just hold the button down, you'll still fly forward. You can cross the whole map in seconds. If you bonk off a wall, you'll get sent back just as fast. You can also use objects like the Ocarina. As soon as you press A, Link will just slide forward until you're done. So as you can see, this code does a lot more than just make you roll faster. Next up is a code that gives Link karate powers. It takes away your sword, giving you the chance to throw your fist around and bust up some enemies. I also tried to use it in child form, which completely decapitated my left hand. I don't know why this was so funny to me. It still works like it's supposed to, but now you're just flinging your arm around. Right as I was wrapping this code up, I was leaving the Temple of Time and I noticed something. For some reason, whenever I stood still, half of Link's body was gone and there were no NPCs, HUD, or text on screen. As soon as I began running, everything was back, but once I stopped, it all vanished again. I'm not really sure why this happens, but it's only with young Link while this code is activated. This next one isn't too crazy, but still pretty cool. It changes the HUD layout into a familiar one from the Wind Waker. It took me a second to figure out which C buttons were which, but once I got the hang of it, it was pretty cool playing the game like this. Up next is a code that changes the ocarina sounds. This one's not too interesting, so I'll go over these quick. First is Malon's voice. Next is just an alternate version of the ocarina. This one's a harp. And finally, the music box. This code doesn't really change anything else besides add some new sounds when playing it. This code makes Link absolutely massive, where all you can really see is his legs. What's interesting is that the code does change where Link holds the items, as you can see with this bomb. I pulled it out and threw it, but it took a second to actually land on the ground before exploding. When you enter first person, it also brings the camera all the way up to the top, which gives you a pretty cool view. I added in a camera code which makes it zoom out a bit, which gave me a little better view, but still not the full model. Switching over to ROM hacks, this is a pretty popular one, Zelda's Birthday. This was made by JSA, and it changes a good amount of the original game. The game starts off with Navi waking you up to tell you about Zelda's birthday, but Ruto, Malon, and Saria's presents all got stolen. It's up to you to get them back and get a present yourself. This game is a few hours long and has multiple endings. However, there is a way to beat this hack in under a minute using a glitch. As soon as you leave your room, you'll end up in Kakariko Village. Head down to this box and line up so the camera's facing this way. Side jump next to the box and this wall and you'll clip inside, allowing you to hit the loading zone on the other side of this door, which is the castle courtyard. Leave this area and you'll be back at Hyrule Castle next to this door, which leads to the ending of the game. Enter it and boom, you'll be treated to one of the endings. Since I did a glitch in a ROM hack, is this a Code Breakers or Game Breakers episode? Anyway, it's still a fun ROM hack, so give it a shot. Next up is a pretty groundbreaking mod from Ostralava02, titled Nimpize Adventure. It came out in late November of 2018, so it's not even a year old yet, and it's seriously impressive. It's about Tails' story of the hero which woke up from the flooded tomb. It includes modified areas, completely new maps, and some cool Easter eggs. From what I've heard, it's pretty difficult, so if you completed Ocarina of Time and looking for more, I'd highly recommend it. It's also pretty long, so I don't have time to fully cover it myself, but there are playthroughs out there if you're interested. This map's familiar. Flowtonic recreated Outset Island from Wind Waker. It's a very well made port, however the game slowed down a lot in some areas like the Minecraft mod. I'm not really sure if there is a way to fix this due to the Nintendo 64's memory, because I know it's not an issue with my computer. But anyway, it's still playable even though the only thing you can really do at the moment is run around the island. You cannot access any of the houses either. I climbed to the top and the game speed was back to normal for a little until I tried looking out over the whole island. I'm not sure if he plans to expand upon this more, which would be cool, but hopefully the lag gets corrected. Regardless, it's always cool to see maps from other games get ported into another. On the topic of ported maps, the popular Cosme Emanuar made a Hazy Maze Temple from Super Mario 64. He managed to not only port the map over, but it's also a playable dungeon. You start off by shooting a flaming arrow at this switch to collect a key and unlock the area to the right. You obtain other items throughout the level, like the long shot, to reach new areas. All you have to do is traverse the stage to collect keys and reach other rooms. Towards the end, where the metal cap switch usually is, you'll instead drop into a boss fight with King Tektite. And that's pretty much it. The map itself is very well made. Kaze said himself that he would not be porting other maps over due to them not working as well for dungeons. It would be cool to see SM64 completely redone in Ocarina of Time, but that would be a massive task. And finally, the item randomizer created by FNAP13. It takes whatever you named your file and randomizes all the items throughout the game. Randomizers in general have been a popular thing in games for a while, so I knew I had to check out the Ocarina of Time one. I started off by getting ice arrows, fire arrows, more ice arrows, and the Goron's bracelet. Not only does it change the items found in chests, but shop items too. It displays the regular items. Once you purchase it, it'll show what it really is. I think it's a really refreshing way to play through games, and it's probably why they're so popular. You get a unique run every time you play with each different file name. I also appreciate that there's no external program you have to sort through in order to randomize it. All you have to do is boot the game normally and you're all set. So that's all I got for this episode of Codebreakers. If you enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe. I want to quickly thank you guys for the support on the first episode of this show. It really means a lot. Speaking of that, I'm not going to include a folder for everything I cover this time. Someone warned me that posting ROM downloads like that isn't a good idea and can get my video taken down. However, I can point you guys in the right direction for them. The websites also have some more ROM hacks that I didn't cover in this video, so there's little incentive to check them out. I also apologize for the gap in between uploads. I was recently finishing up finals for my first year of college and had to pack my whole setup away to bring home. I'll have a lot more free time now, so hopefully that means more videos too. But with that, I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, see ya!